ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शांति शांति शांति. Namaskar. We are here to talk about chapter 2. We have been talking about what Arjun told Krishna, all of his arguments regarding why he should not be fighting the war, how it will be a pap or a sin to fight and kill the guru and the father's uncle and all the cousins. So Gita, the dialogue between Bhagwan Krishna and Arjun, basically starts with the fundamental principle first. In the second chapter, first Krishna is going to tell Arjun, whatever arguments you have told me, they are all completely useless because they are based on a wrong assumption. What is the wrong assumption? The wrong assumption is we have taken ourselves to the body. Arjun is basically a representative of all of us. So Arjun is arguing based on the assumption that he is the body. This first assumption Krishna wants to eradicate from his mind. See, in any mathematical formula, if we take a wrong assumption, then the entire problem or the solution thereafter is going to become wrong. Another example is, say if I am in Mumbai and I want to go to Delhi, but instead of north, I start going south. So I will end up going to Goa or Pune, not to Delhi. If I assume that the road I am taking is going to Delhi, but actually the road is going to Pune, then I will end up in Pune. Similarly, Arjun has taken himself to be the body and he is arguing, I don't want to kill my father's uncle Bhishmacharya. I don't want to kill my guru Dronacharya. Means what? See, if he is your father's uncle, if he is your guru, I am happy to kill him. But he is my guru. He is my father's uncle. So my means with respect to the body. Therefore, the first thing Arjun is told by Krishna is, you are grieving about something which is not worthy of being grieved about. Ashochananvashochastva. So we, during our last meeting with this group, we've already done 11, 12 and 13. These three shlok. I'm going to briefly go through those shlok. I won't go through the detailed discussion we have done on that because we have already finished it. But the 14th verse, which is the critical verse after that, and I really love it. Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya. So we are going to do more contemplation on that. Once we have finished the contemplation on that, we can have some discussion on that. I'm going to share my screen here. I got a really nice version of Jnaneshwari online. I'll be happy to share with you the link also for this particular book. So let me see. This is 13th verse. Dehinosmin yatha dehaye dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara prapti dhiras tatra na muhyati. म्हणजे if we look at it ourselves from the deha point of view, if we look at ourselves as the body, this body is born, it will become young, it will grow up to be a teenager, it will grow up to be an adult, and it will also age at some point. After that, the body will be left by the jiva, by the one who lives in the body, and that jiva or that embodied one is going to go into another deha or another body. What does this mean? This really means that the one who is residing in the body is immortal. He cannot die. So if we consider ourselves to be the jiva, if we consider ourselves to be the one who is dwelling in the body, even that is immortal. So why are we feeling sad about something about which we should not be feeling sad? if we are feeling sad or we are grieving about something which is not worthy of grieving, because we are not the body. The body's property is that it will grow, it will sustain itself for some time, and then it's going to go away. It's going to perish. Okay. Let me see if I can get the, okay. This is the 13th verse, right? देहयुक्त आत्म्याला ज्याप्रमाणे देहामध्ये बाल्य, तारुण्य व वार्धक्य असतात, त्याचप्रमाणे एक देह जाऊन त्याला दुसऱ्या देहाची प्राप्ती होत असते. आणि असं असल्यामुळे जो आत्मा नित्य असल्याचं जाणतो त्याला जन्ममरणाविषयी भ्रांती होत नाही. So the one who knows that he is not the body is not going to grieve because the body is going. The body is going every moment. So even if you look at our own body right now, in the last 5 or 10 minutes that we have been together, our body has changed from within. Every moment the body changes. As we breathe in, some molecules of oxygen go in. As we breathe out, some molecules of carbon dioxide are going out. So at the molecular level, very tiny amount of our body is getting changed, which means that every moment it is changing. Whatever I am right now, the body is right now, that body is not going to be at the next moment. It's changing every moment. आणखी असं पहा की शरीर तर एकच, पण वयपरत्वे त्याला अनेक दशा प्राप्त होतात. हा प्रत्यक्ष पुरावा तू पहा. So look at this proof that every moment the body is changing. Initially it is a child, then it is going to be an adult, and then it is going to be an older man. म्हणजे ह्याच्या म्हणजे शरीराच्या ठिकाणी पहिल्याने बालपण दिसतं, मग तारुण्यात ते बालपण नाहीसं होतं. So where did the child in us disappear? Where did the child's body disappear? See, we are the witness to the child's body, we are the witness to the teenager's body, we are the witness to the young adult's body, older adult's body, and most of us are now beyond retirement age. Many of us are. So we have seen this change in our body, but from within ourselves, have we experienced any change? We have not experienced any change of our own awareness. That unchanging awareness is fundamental. If we can catch that, then we will not grieve for something which is changing all the time, which cannot remain constant anyway. याच्या म्हणजे शरीराच्या ठिकाणी पहिल्याने बालपण दिसतं, मग तारुण्यात ते बालपण नाहीसं होतं. पण शरीराच्या एक अवस्थेबरोबर शरीराचा काही नाश होत नाही. एक अवस्थेबरोबर शरीराचा काही नाश होत नाही. म्हणजे काय की द बॉडी टुगेदर is continuing. Although it is changing, it is throughout our lifetime, it is going to remain constant. But at some point, only the body will remain, but we will leave that body because that body is no more fit to be lived in. So just like if a building is unfit to be occupied, that building is broken down, another building is built at that place, and then people will start occupying that building, correct? त्याचप्रमाणे हे पहा, चैतन्याच्या ठिकाणी our own awareness, निरनिराळी शरीरे येतात आणि जातात. Bodies come and go in our awareness. We don't go from one body to another. See, this is also another misunderstanding we have. We always think that we are inside the body and outside is the world. That's not true. Our mind occupies both the outside and the inside. But the mind will create the illusion of inside and outside because the mind identifies itself with the body. The mind thinks that we are the body and therefore we are inside the body and outside is the world. But that's not true. Our mind has both the body and the world within it. So our body is within the mind, not the other way around. त्याचप्रमाणे हे पहा, चैतन्याच्या ठिकाणी निरनिराळी शरीरे येतात व जातात, असं जो जाणतो त्याला भ्रांतिजन्य दुःख कधी होत नाही. So he will not grieve. So thereafter the verse we are going to really contemplate on today. मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः आगमापायिनो नित्यास्तास्तितिक्षस्व भारत. एथ नेणावया हेची कारण जे इंद्रिया आधीनपण तिही आकळी जे अंतःकरण म्हणूनी भ्रमे. I'm going to read this whole passage at once and then we will go look at the meaning and then we'll contemplate some on that. Okay. इंद्रिये विषय सेविती तेथ हर्ष शोको उपजती ते अंतर आपलविती संगे येणे. You see, this Marathi we are not able to understand because this was written 700 years ago. From the Marathi that was prachalit at that time, it was being spoken in this manner, but we don't understand it now. So that's why we have to take the help of translations that are in current Marathi. जया विषयांच्या ठाई एकनिष्ठता कही नाही, तेथ दुःख आणि काही सुखही दिसे. देखे हे शब्दाची व्याप्ती, निंदा आणि स्तुती, तेथ द्वेषाद्वेष उपजती श्रवणद्वारे. मृदू आणि कठीण हे स्पर्शाचे दोन्ही गुण, जे वपूचे निसंगे कारण संतोष खेदा. भ्यासुर आणि सुरेख हे रूपाचे स्वरूप देख, जे उपजवी सुखदुःख नेत्रद्वारे. सुगंधू आणि दुर्गंधू हा परिमळाचा भेदू, जो घ्राणसंगे विषादू तोषू देता. तैसाची द्विविध रसू उपजवी प्रीतित्रासू, म्हणून हा अपभ्रंशू विषय संगू. देखे इंद्रिया आधीन होईजे, तै शीतोष्णा ते पाविजे, आणि सुखदुःखी आकळीजे आपण पे. ह्या विषया वाचुनी काही, आणिक सर्वथा रम्य नाही, ऐसा स्वभावची पाही इंद्रियांचा. हे विषय तरी कैसे, रोहिणीचे जळ जैसे, का स्वप्नीचा आभासे भद्र जाती. देखे अनित्य तियापरी, म्हणूनी तू अभेरी, हा सर्वथा संगू न धरी धनुर्धरा. आता आपण याचं लेट अस लुक ॲट द meanings of all of these verses. Okay, we are on 14, right? हे अर्जुना, इंद्रियाचं विषयांशी होणारं म्हणजे संयोग म्हणजे शीत उष्ण सुख आणि दुःख देणार आहेत. सो फॉर एक्झाम्पल, राईट नाव वी आर एक्सपिरियन्सिंग विंटर. In the winter, if we wear something warm, it feels really good. Whatever warm clothing we are wearing now, that same warm clothing is going to feel not so pleasant when we are wearing it in the summer. So depending upon the external situation, whenever something touches us, see here he talks about matra sparshastu. Sparsha means touch, if you look at it from the literal meaning point of view. Therefore I gave you that example. But what it means is, whenever any object of knowledge comes in contact with the sense organ, respective sense organ. So with the skin, it will be something that we touch. With our eyes, something that we see. With our ears, something we hear. With our tongue, something we taste. And with our nose, something we smell. So Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, these are the tanmatra of the Panchamahabhuta. That's why in Sanskrit they say matra sparshastu. Whenever that tanmatra of any vishay, any sense object comes in contact with the sense organ, okay, that is going to create the feeling of either heat or cold, which means pleasant or unpleasant. That is all it really means. If you look at even the simplest thing, such as eating food, if you are hungry, if the food is good, whenever the food touches the tongue, you will get a pleasant feeling. You will continue to get the pleasant feeling until your stomach is full. Thereafter, the same thing, the same edible thing which was giving you pleasure is now going to start giving you nausea. So the bottom line is, whenever we come in contact with any sense organ, any sense object respective to that sense organ, that union of the sense object and sense organ is going to create a pleasant or unpleasant experience. Okay. सुख किंवा दुःख देणारे आहेत, ते उत्पत्ती आणि विनाश यांनी युक्त असल्यामुळे अनित्य आहेत. It's going to be temporary. I gave you the example of food because that experience goes away within a few minutes, right? Some experiences will last a bit longer. So for example, if it is cold and if I'm wearing a sweater, I can be in that sweater all day long and feel good. So the duration of that sparsha, duration of that contact is going to vary, but it is going to end at some point, right? So they are anitya, means they are impermanent. What we need to do here is to realize what is permanent and what is impermanent. The bottom line is, anything we experience with our sense organs is going to be impermanent. It's going to come and go. Now, in some cases, the experience will be pleasant, but in some other cases, the experience will be unpleasant. All Krishna is trying to tell us is, whenever the experience is pleasant, it's okay, you will enjoy it. But whenever it is not pleasant, in that case, just bear with it, because it's going to go away. Just like the good experience came and went, even the bad experience is going to come and go. Don't worry about it. Just bear with it for right now. त्यांना तू सहन कर, म्हणजे ताण स्थितिक्षस्व भारत, त्यांना तू सहन कर. दुसरा एक अर्थ यांनी सांगितलाय, द अदर meaning this writer has given us is, त्यांचा त्याग कर. So give up on those or be indifferent towards them. That's what it is. असे न जाणण्याला इंद्रियाधीनता हेच एक कारण आहे. ती इंद्रिय अंतःकरणावर आपला पगडा बसवतात, म्हणून त्याला भ्रम होतो. See, we are so enamored by the experience of the sense objects with the sense organs that we get completely subdued by the indriya or the sense organs. The sense organs will basically control our mind. That's what happens. When we become a slave of our indriyas or our sense organs, we will be deluded. भ्रम होतो आपल्याला. ठीक आहे. इंद्रिय विषयांचं सेवन करतात, त्यामुळे सुख दुःख उत्पन्न होतात. When the sense objects are experienced by the sense organs, we will be either happy or unhappy. ते मग आपल्या संसर्गाने अंतःकरण ग्रासून टाकतात. Once that experience happens, that experience basically overpowers and overshadows our mind as well as our discrimination. ज्या शब्दादी विषयांच्या ठिकाणी एक स्थिती कधी नसते, त्या विषयाच्या ठिकाणी काही दुःख व थोडं सुखही दिसतं. In fact, with every sense object, you will realize or you will notice that initially it feels pleasant, but that same sense object after some time is going to feel unpleasant. त्या विषयापासून कधी सुख तर कधी दुःख प्राप्त होतं. So if I am hungry, I will enjoy the food. But if I am not hungry or if I am sick, the same food is going to make me feel even more sick. पहा की निंदा आणि स्तुती या शब्दांची व्याप्ती आहे. कर्णद्वाराने जसं निंदेच्या किंवा स्तुतीच्या शब्दांचं सेवन होईल, तसं क्रोध किंवा लोभ अंतःकरणात उत्पन्न होतात. So if we hear somebody praising us, then we like to hear more of it. Whereas if somebody is abusing us, then we don't want to hear it. Now the sense organ, the ear, does not really discriminate between what is being heard and what is not being heard. The ear is going to make us hear either pleasant or unpleasant things. Those pleasant or unpleasant things are going to affect our mind if we pay attention to them and if we give importance to them. Once again, we have to realize that the praise is for a particular person or a particular personality based on the body. The praise is not for the Atma as such. There is one example our Swamiji always gives us about a saint, I believe in Vrindavan, if I'm not wrong. Somebody came to that saint one time and he abused him left, right, and center, and then went away. So one of the disciples of that saint told the Guruji, says, Guruji or Maharaj, मैं उसको जाके दिखा के आता हूँ, उसकी क्या औकात है आपको ऐसा बोलने की. How come he is abusing you? I'm going to go and show him something. So the Maharaj tells him, Guruji tells him, listen, if he has abused me as the body, if he has taken me as a body, and if he has abused me as the body, he is not wrong because I myself abuse my own body. Because this body is basically a combination of filth. Filth in the sense we consume perfectly good quality food, and what do we generate? Garbage out of it. So physically, if you look at the body, whatever comes out of the body is not something we could be discussing too much in public. unless you happen like me, who's an environmental engineer. So he talks about waste management all the time. So for me, it is bread and butter. But jokes apart, whatever comes out of the body, we don't really want to talk about it in public. Correct? So as the body, I abuse my body as well. I don't consider that to be a very good thing. And if he is abusing me as Atma, if he is abusing me as the spirit, then his Atma and my Atma are not two different things. So he is welcome to say whatever he wants to say to his own Atma. So either way, I am not affected. See how the vision is of a saint of looking at praise as well as abuse. Abuse, we might be able to digest sometimes, but praise is very hard to digest. Praise is very hard to digest. The one who can digest the praise from others, he is the true saint. Not getting carried away by whatever people talk about you and start thinking of yourself as somebody special. That requires very special discipline as well as discrimination. Okay? Because these things keep coming and going. Sometimes the same people who are praising you will start abusing you at some other point. Sometimes who are abusing you right now, their mind will change and they will come back to you and they will realize their mistake and they will apologize. ऐसा भी होता है. I've had these experiences many times. So it is best for us not to pay too much attention and give too much importance to praise as well as abuse. मृदू आणि कठीण हे स्पर्श ह्या विषयाचे दोन प्रकार आहेत. मृदू आणि कठीण हे स्पर्श या विषयाचे दोन प्रकार आहेत. सो आयदर इट इज हार्ड और इट इज सॉफ्ट टच. ते त्वचेच्या संयोगाने संतोषाला व दुःखाला कारण होतात. सो we will of course love to have something soft to touch always, correct? And if there is something hard, we don't want it to touch us. We are not going to wear any clothing that is very rough on the skin, correct? पहा, भेसूर आणि सुरेख ही रूप या विषयाची दोन रूप आहे. ही या रूप या विषयाची दोन स्वरूपे आहेत. सो रूप मीन्स व्हॉट एव्हर वी सी विथ अवर आईज. तो सुरेख आणि कुरूप, भेसूर आणि सुरेख, so something which looks beautiful or something which looks very ugly, they will create sukha and dukkha. They will create pleasantness and unpleasantness within us. Okay? सुगंध व दुर्गंध हे गंध या दोन विषयांचे भेद आहेत. सो गुड स्मेल एंड बैड स्मेल, सुगंध और दुर्गंध. एक सेकंड, somebody has raised the hand, so I'm going to stop sharing here. Let me see who has shared the hand. Adosh and VV Patil. If it is urgent, we will take it. Otherwise, let's go through all the verses at once and then we'll open it for discussion, if it is okay. All right, so I'm going to share the screen one more time. If you'll give me another maybe 5 or 10 minutes, we'll go through all these verses, the Marathi meaning, and then we'll start discussing. Okay. सुगंध आणि दुर्गंध हे गंध या विषयाचे दोन भेद आहेत. गुड स्मेल अँड बॅड स्मेल. ओके. ते नाकाच्या संयोगाने सुख आणि दुःख उत्पन्न करतात. सो वी स्मेल देम थ्रू अवर नोज अँड विल फील प्लेझेंट ऑर अनप्लेझेंट. त्याचप्रमाणे कडू आणि गोड हा दोन प्रकारचा रस आवड आणि नावड उत्पन्न करतो. सो स्वीट और बिटर, इट विल क्रिएट प्लेझेंटनेस और अनप्लेझेंटनेस इन अवर टंग. म्हणून या विषयांची संगती अधोगतीला नेणारी आहे. सो इफ वी आर टू इन्फॅच्युएटेड विथ दीज एक्सपिरियन्सेस, देन दीज एक्सपिरियन्सेस विल पुल अस डाऊन. हे पहा, जेव्हा मनुष्य इंद्रियांच्या ताब्यात जातो तेव्हा त्याला शीतोष्णाचा अनुभव घ्यावा लागतो आणि मग तो स्वतः सुखदुःखांच्या तळाख्यात सापडतो. When the sense objects come in contact with the sense organ, we will have to experience either pleasantness or unpleasantness. About that, there is no choice. Of course, because of this pleasantness or unpleasantness, we will protect ourselves also. So it is a necessary thing to be able to experience pleasantness and unpleasantness. Otherwise, if you touch something hot and you don't feel that it is hot, then you'll keep touching it, it will burn you. In fact, one of my sisters had that experience. She had a C-section when her daughter was born. Her entire lower part of the body was essentially put under anesthesia, and she didn't get any feeling at all. You will not believe one of the nurses had kept a hot water bag on her legs during that time and she forgot. So this, my sister, her legs or her feet were burned and she had to go through a lot of pain thereafter. First the C-section, then the leg pain and all that. So it took her a long time to recover after that. Why did that happen? Because there was no sensation of heat or cold. Otherwise she would have said ki माझ्या पायाला गरम लागतंय, काढा इथून. But she could not do that because of anesthesia, and then she had to suffer. So feeling pain or pleasure, feeling shita or ushna is a good thing. It helps us preserve our body. But we should not be attached to this pleasantness going out of the way. Okay? Otherwise we'll get stuck with it. पहा, इंद्रियांचा स्वभावच असा आहे की त्यांना या विषयावाचून दुसरं काहीच गोड वाटत नाही. Our sense organs are infatuated by sense objects. Sense organs will always be directed towards the sense objects and they will always want to enjoy them. That is their nature. That is how the world is propagated. Okay? हे विषय आहेत तरी कसे? मृगजळ जसं आभासात्मक किंवा स्वप्नात पाहिलेला हत्ती केवळ भासमय असतो, तसे हे विषय क्षणभंगूर आहेत. पहा, याकरता धंग करा, तू त्यांचा त्याग कर, त्यांच्या नादी मुळीच लागू नकोस. How are these sense objects? They come and go, come and go, come and go, just like the mirage. It appears for some time under certain circumstances, but then after that it goes away. So if we understand sense objects in this manner, to be transient, to be anitya, to be impermanent, to assume that they are going to give us permanent lasting joy or peace or happiness is completely foolish. The quicker we get rid of this wrong notion, the better off we are going to be. This is what Jnaneshwari Maharaj has tried to tell us during these verses. So now I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself if you wish, but please unmute one by one would be great, because at one time if there are two people speaking, then the recording is not bad, not good. So go ahead. Thank you. Adosh, if you want to unmute and say your question, that will be great. Go ahead.
हा दादा, मला असं म्हणायचं होतं की तुम्ही जे आता ह्याच्या गीतेवरून सांगितलं तसं ह्याचा ड्रॉइंग पॅरलल एनालॉजी, इट इज नॉट जस्ट अ पॅरलल एनालॉजी म्हणून फॉर दॅट पर्पज गजानन महाराजांच्या त्याच्यातली होतं की पोथीमध्ये की मधमाशा उडल्या आणि तेव्हा गजानन महाराजांनी लोकांना दाखवलं संकटात कोणीही तुम्हाला टाळेना, तुम्ही ईश्वराशी आपले करा म्हणजे सफल होईल तुमचा संसार. असं ही पॅरलल एनालॉजी बरोबर आहे का? हा प्रश्न होता दादा.
Does anybody else want to talk about it? विलास दादा, आप बोलते हो क्या इसके बारे में? या नीलंजन दा बताइए. हमारे बंधु अदोष जी ने जो बोला है उसके बारे में अगर आपको कुछ कहना हो तो अनम्यूट करिए अपने आप को.
I need to translate a bit because I couldn't get the full thing.
अदोष, you have to. विलास दादा, आप बताइए कुछ, since you understood the comment in Marathi. उनका कनेक्ट हो रहा है ऑडियो, इसलिए आज हमने दादा हिंदी और इंग्लिश में लिया, so that everybody could understand. अदोष, तुला हिंदीत सांगता येईल का हेच पुन्हा एकदा क्विकली? Can you translate this in English or Hindi and tell? Then Nilanjan da can understand it.
हनी बीज का एक सब भक्त लोग जाते हैं, खेत में रहते हैं, वहां पे हनी बीज उड़ के गजानन महाराज के आंग पे आ जाते हैं, तो सब लोग भाग जाते हैं, लेकिन एक भक्त जो रहता है वो थोड़ा प्रयत्न करता है इसको गजानन महाराज को उसमें से बचाने का. तो वो गजानन महाराज ने ये एग्जाम्पल इससे दिया कि संकट के समय तुम्हारे को कोई मदद करने को नहीं आएगा, इसलिए उन्होंने लोगों को ये बताया कि ईश्वर को अपना करो और तभी तुम्हारा संसार सफल होएगा. मेरा हिंदी और मराठी इतना अच्छा नहीं है, सो पार्डन मी फॉर दैट.
ओके, नहीं वो नहीं था एग्जाम्पल. इसमें हम लोग उस एग्जाम्पल से एक तो बात हम समझ सकते हैं कि जैसे द पर्सन हु वाज ट्राइंग टू सेव गजानन महाराज was able to tolerate the bee stings तो उसको सहन करो जब करने की आवश्यकता है तब, क्योंकि बचाना है ना महाराज को. यू वांट टू सेव. That was the, I have not read Gajanan Maharaj Charitra, so I don't know the exact incident, but that is how I understand it. If you want to draw parallel, then that is the parallel. वो बाकी जो whatever conclusion you have made, that is good, but that conclusion is not parallel to what we have been discussing in the verse 14. One other hand was there, so who else? I think Vikram Patil. कोणी हात वर केला था? Do you want to unmute and say what you wanted to say? One person had. दादा इसके बारे में कुछ बोलना है क्या आपको? हिंदी में जो हमारे बंधु ने समझाया और बताया, बताइए.
Well, I do not know the incident exactly, but little that I have understood from Adoshi. See, it is the nature of honeybee to bite, because that is their dharma. Like Agni is their dharma is to burn. It is not that fire is burning you. It is their dharma. Now, if you go and touch it, obviously it will burn you, because that is their dharma. So everything in this creation has its own dharma. It's true being. So it will obviously has to act as per that true being. Now, when it comes to this particular incident, my take is he had a goal in mind. Like he wanted to protect Gajanan Maharaj. So for that, if he has to face the difficulties, adverse situations, so he has to have that titiksha, because titiksha is also a quality. In fact, for our sadhana, to know for Atmagyana sadhana, one of the qualities of sadhana chatushta is titiksha. So that titiksha anyway is needed for anything that we want to achieve. So this is an extreme case of titiksha. So which the sadhaka, the bhakta had for Gajanan, that's why he could bear that. And we all actually do in a different situation for our children, for our country, for our society. A lot of people go through all the titiksha. So it is all a question of the same thing. So that matra sparshastu panteya, shitosna sukha dukkadaha, agama paino tan titisha vasabharata. Basically, it is, it will come and go. It's all about your mind, how you deal with your mind. That is my
Great, thank you, Dada.
I think, can I speak? I'm Anjali. Sorry, I was able to join in late.
No problem.
But I just wanted
Nice
to
to see
say,
you.
is it okay to, nice.
Go ahead,
Namaskar,
please.
everyone. Nice
Namaste.
seeing you. I just wanted to say, can one say that when we are deeply aligned with the universe, with the consciousness, or whatever one wants to say, we receive, of course, you all are aware, we receive protection from the universe. So as he rightly said, Mr. Nilanjan, that everybody has a karma. The bee did his worked according to his karma, and we often get protection according to our karma and alignment with our consciousness. So is that okay to infer it that way? Thanks.
You see, if our attention is on our own awareness, then we will realize that the experiences we get through our sense organs come and go, come and go, come and go, because this awareness, this consciousness is a witness to that. See, what happens to us is initially we are enamored by the objects of the world. So we are chasing objects, one object after another. We have this one object we like, so we want to obtain that object. If some object we don't like, we want to get rid of it. Krishna is saying that we should not be going after the objects of the world or even the objectives in the world. See, sometimes what happens is we think that earning money is an objective I like. So then I start earning money in whatever way I can. Okay, so that indiscriminate earning of money by whatever means is not the proper way to earn money. Similarly with sense of objects, not every object may be good for us. So I run a diet purification program online, and some of our participants are here, like Nainata is here, Samir is here. These people have actually gone through that whole program. We love eating sweet. We love eating fatty food. We love eating all the time. But when we are infatuated by that, when we are addicted to that experience, then we will want to repeat that experience all the time, regardless of what it does to our body. And unfortunately, if we get stuck in that kind of chasing these experiences, then we will keep repeating that mistake over and over and over. Ultimately, what happens is initially that experience is pleasant. So whenever we are eating something sweet or whenever eating some junk or something fatty, it tastes very good on the tongue. But over time, or ultimately, in the long run, that addiction to the pleasure is going to create unpleasantness within the body. This is what happens. So we should not be addicted to that experience of pleasure. Hemant bhai, बताइए. You can unmute.
सर इसी उदाहरण पे मेरा एक प्रश्न है
बताइए.
कि द बीज जैसे निरंजन भाई ने बताया कि वो अपना धर्म कर रही थी, उसका से काटने का धर्म है, और जो उनका शिष्य था वो भी अपना धर्म कर रहा था कि उन्हें अपने गुरु महाराज को बचाना है, वो भी अपना धर्म कर रहा था। और जो गजानन महाराज थे उन्हें उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा था काट रहा है या नहीं काट रहा है, क्योंकि वो सहन करना उनका धर्म था उस समय एज ए सन्यासी। तो इसमें जो शिष्य बचा रहा है वो पाप कर रहा है या पुण्य कर रहा है, क्योंकि उसके करने में वो बी की हत्या भी हो सकती है या उसको कष्ट भी हो सकता है। तो इसमें कौन पाप कर रहा है, कौन पुण्य कर रहा है?
देखिए, पाप और पुण्य वही करता है जो अपने आप को कर्ता समझता है। इसमें अगर हम गजानन महाराज की दृष्टि से देखते हैं या जो बचा रहा है उसकी दृष्टि से देखते हैं, तो गजानन महाराज न अपने को देह समझते हैं, न पापी समझते हैं, न पुण्यवान समझते हैं। उनके मन में, आई एम जस्ट इमेजिनिंग दिस फ्रॉम गजानन महाराज पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, गजानन महाराज थिंक्स ऑफ हिज ओन बॉडी एंड द बीस्ट बॉडी एज वन एंड द सेम थिंग, manifestation of the same supreme reality. Okay, so in his mind there is no discrimination. तो अगर मधुमक्खी आकर के मुझे काटती है तो ठीक है, मधुमक्खी काटती है, उसका काटने का धर्म है, उसको काटने दो। और मेरा ये जो शरीर है ये उस मधुमक्खी के लिए इज अनदर ऑब्जेक्ट, तो उसको उछल रहा है। गजानन महाराज इज लुकिंग बोथ एट द बी एंड हिज ओन बॉडी इन द सेम मैनर, वेयर एज द भक्त हु इज ट्राइंग टू सेव, उसके मन में तो ये द्वैत है ना, मेरा शरीर, गजानन महाराज का शरीर और मधुमक्खी, ये सब अलग अलग है। तो ये मधुमक्खी महाराज को काट रही है और मेरे को उनको बचाना है। दिस इज व्हाट द भक्त इज थिंकिंग, क्योंकि द भक्त इज स्टक इन दिस ड्युअलिटी। और जो भक्त तो ऑफकोर्स ये जो कर रहा है, गजानन महाराज को बचाने की कोशिश कर रहा है, वो तो पुण्य कर रहा है ऐसा उसका विचार है ना, इसीलिए तो वो कर रहे हैं, पाप थोड़ी कर रहा है। अब उसमें देखो, पाप पुण्य में क्या होता है कि जगत में हम लोग जब कुछ ना कुछ करेंगे तो पाप पुण्य तो होगा ही होगा, पर एक जो हमें शास्त्र बताते हैं कि अपनी शरीर रक्षा के लिए हम जो कुछ करेंगे उससे पाप निर्माण नहीं होता है। सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ आई ईट व्हेन आई एम हंग्री, देन इट डज नॉट क्रिएट एनी sin or merit. बट इफ आई गेट एडिक्टेड टू समथिंग एंड देन आई से कि नहीं, मुझे यही खाने को चाहिए, दूसरा मुझे नहीं चाहिए, या फिर जो चाहिए, जो अच्छा लगता है उसको मैं ज़्यादा खाऊंगा बिकॉज इट इज़ गिविंग मी प्लेजर, देन इट विल क्रिएट sin and merit. ऐसा ऐसा होगा। बट इफ वी आर डूइंग इट प्योरली फॉर sustaining the body, then it will not create sin and merit. तो इन दिस केस, अगर गजानन महाराज को बचाने के लिए मेरे हाथ से अगर 2-3 मधुमक्खी मर जाती है, तो टू दैट एक्सटेंट इट विल नॉट क्रिएट एनी पाप। पर अगर मैं जानबूझ करके उनको मारता हूँ, इवन इफ दे आर नॉट बॉदरिंग एनीबॉडी, तो देन इट विल क्रिएट पाप। ऐसा है, दिस इज हाउ आई फील। क्योंकि हम देखिए भाई, हेमंत भाई, अगर हम लोग सांस लेते हैं ना, तो सांस लेते समय तो वी आर इंजेस्टिंग सम माइक्रोब्स, नहीं? इसीलिए तो जैन मुनि जो होते हैं वो अपना नाक ढक करके रखते हैं कि दे शुड नॉट बाय एक्सीडेंट इंजेस्ट एनी इंसेक्ट और समथिंग। तो ऐसा है। तो To what extreme you want to take it, it's entirely up to you. पर मेरे विचार में अपने शरीर की रक्षा के लिए जो कुछ हमें करने की आवश्यकता है वो हमने करना चाहिए, only to the extent it is not creating any sin. पर अगर एक मिनट समीर, आदोष ने हाथ वर केला, तो लेट मी टेक आदोष's question, then I'll take your question. So if you can mute yourselves, other than Adosh you can unmute, please.
हा दादा, मी ह्याचं कंटिन्यू करतो. ह्याच्यानंतर काय झालं की ते लोकांना सांगितलं त्यांनी की मला काटे काढायला डॉक्टर वगैरे कोणी बोलवू नको, सोनार बोलवू नको, मी योगशास्त्राच्या बल्याने काटे काढून दाखवतो. आणि त्यांनी ते काटे काढले. पण त्यांना हे दाखवायचं होतं की संकटात कोणीही तारेना, देवाला आपले करा म्हणजे सुखी होईल तुमचा हा संसार, असं
Correct. So see, from that experiment or that manifestation, Gajanan Maharaj was trying to give a different lesson. He was saying that, okay, you know, मधुमक्खियों ने मुझे काटा है, bees have stung me, but I can get rid of those stings through my yoga maya, which means he can push the stings out. That's what he was able to achieve, right? We are not able to achieve that. तो हमारे लिए तो कुछ ना कुछ करना पड़ेगा. तो to that extent हमने करना चाहिए. तो normally it has been my experience that if we don't bother the honeybees, they don't bother us. It's not just honeybees, it's about any organism. If we are situated within our own consciousness, if we are firmly rooted in our consciousness, from our mind a sense of duality has disappeared, then even the wild animals who are otherwise violent will become tame in front of us. You know, I'm not a saint, and you know, not everybody may be a saint, but just an example, a current example I'll tell you. There is a person by the name Prakash Baba Amte who lives in Vidarbha, and he has lived in a remote area in Gadchiroli in the jungle, and he has rescued several wild animals like the cubs of cheetahs and tigers and things like that, and they stay with him as if they are his pets. So normally these are violent animals, but because of the bond he has with those animals, they don't hurt him. ऐसा होता है, ऐसा हो सकता है. So it's not that anything and everything is good or bad in this world. In fact, good or bad in this world happens because of our own viewpoint towards any other organism in the world. ऐसा होता है. So if our mind is clear, if we are not afraid, and if we don't have any intention of hurting anybody, then the other organism who may be otherwise violent will calm down, is how I take it. Good. Now Samir Supnekar, you had wanted to unmute yourself, so why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself?
ऐकू येतंय का?
Yes, go ahead please.
लहानपणी आई मध्य प्रदेशमध्ये होती, ती शाळेत जायची. तर ते अंगणामध्ये आता त्या काळी ते सगळं जंगलच होतं. ते त्यांचं जे घर होतं त्या अंगणामध्ये वाघ घेऊन बसायचं सकाळी सकाळी, कारण का त्याला ते शाळेतल्या मुली जाताना दिसायच्या. तर ते वाघ येऊन बसला की आजी म्हणायची म्हणजे आईला की दरवाजा बंद कर आणि बाहेर पडू नकोस. आता आई जर बाहेर पडली असती आणि म्हणाली असती हम ब्रह्मास्मी, तर आज मी दिसतच नसतो. तर मग द्वैतात द्वैत हे असणं गरजेचं आहे. नाही तर आपण वाघाला म्हणलं अद्वैता तर गेलं. मग
That is true. ह्या वाघाची एक आणखीन गोष्ट है. That is a very good thing. I'm so glad you said that. निरंजन दा, ये हमारे बंधु बोल रहे थे कि इनकी माताजी मध्य प्रदेश में रहती थी, कहीं किसी स्कूल में पढ़ाती थी और जंगल में रहते थे, जंगल के आसपास. तो उनके
नहीं शिकत होती.
ओ अच्छा, वो पढ़ती थी पहले. ओके ठीक है. तो वहां पे उनके आंगन में शेर आकर के बैठता था कभी कभी. तो हर मदर यूज टू टेल हर कि अभी यहाँ से बाहर मत जाओ, नहीं तो शेर तुमको खा जाएगा या खा सकता है, व्हाटएवर. तो अपने आप को बचाना तो चाहिए ना, ऑफ कोर्स. तो जब तक हमारे मन में ये शेर के और हमारे बीच में का द्वैत है, तब तक अपने आप को बचाओ, ऑफ कोर्स बचाना पड़ेगा. But if you don't bother, normally it so happens that wild animals will not bother us unless we unnecessarily bother them. ऐसा होता है. So anybody else who wants to talk about this, most welcome. Vilas Dada, are you still here? Because I know you were on the phone.
Well, he raised his hand. Actually, you wanted to ask.
I'm here. I actually raised my hand, but
Oh, I didn't notice it. I'm so sorry about that. Vilas Dada, please go ahead.
yeah, very interesting discussion. 2-3 points which come to my mind as a response. One is what Hemant said about पाप आणि पुण्य. या सापेक्ष कल्पना आहेत रे पाप आणि पुण्य. There is no absolute path or an absolute mind. There's nothing spiritual about it. Adi Shankaracharya says, "Na punyam na papam na saukhyam na dukkham. Chidananda rupa shivoham shivo." So as far as पाप and पुण्य is concerned, हेमंत भाई, ये तो आदमी ने बनाई हुई कॉन्सेप्ट है. मैं टोटल वेजिटेरियन हूँ, but I don't look at my wife पक्का नॉन वेजिटेरियन as a पापी.
थोड़ी देर के लिए विलास दादा, we lost you.
It's very difficult because आता हे जी साहेबांनी सांगितलं की त्यांची आई जर का बाहेर गेली असती तर वाघांनी खाल्लं असतं आणि he wouldn't have been the lovely example. And I am reminded of Adi Shankaracharya's, he was talking about this world is Maya, Aham Brahmasmi, and Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya वगैरे. तर त्यांच्यावरती कोणतरी हत्ती सोडला, वेडा झालेला हत्ती. And so when he saw the hatti come towards him, he ran. तर ते म्हणे का हो म्हणे हाई तो ब्रह्म आहे ना, हे मिथ्या आहे म्हणे तो हत्ती तुमच्यावर आला. तर शंकराचार्य वॉज व्हॉट ही वॉज. सो ही सेड की अहो तो हत्ती माझ्यावर धावत आला, हे पण मिथ्या, आणि मी पळालो, ही पण मिथ्या. तर as long as I am the body, I have to cope with this world and its duality. I experience it, but in the pursuit, as I develop a certain detachment towards this body-mind complex, and one of the ways for this is this beautiful श्लोक मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्ते. सगळे आपले experiences, feelings, thoughts, everything are transient, and so is this body. And therefore, what I have learned in life, so I, at least now, is not to take myself seriously, because taking myself seriously is kind of bolstering the ego, and अहंकार वाढत जातो. मी असा, मी तसा, आणि मी असं केलं, तसं केलं. So best is, yeah, so it helps in understanding. But very interesting discussion, yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else has any thoughts? मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय. बहुत बढ़िया. बता.
आता मी बोलू का?
हाँ, बोल समीर.
आताच काळे सर म्हणाले की शिवोहम शिवोहम, आणि आपलं जे अहंकार आहे ते होऊ देऊ नये आपल्याला. गौतपादाचार्य हे
एक सेकंड, आप कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं क्या सुधीर जी? आपने अनम्यूट किया.
बहुत अच्छा डिस्कशन था, और it is very necessary that we don't leave everything on God only. That God will do everything for us, and we will be accepting whatever is being done to us by nature or the circumstances. God has empowered us. God has given us a lot of energy and resources, which we have to understand and apply them appropriately without getting into abhiman, or जिसको हम लोग हिंदी में बोलते हैं कि हम जो है घमंड को ना रखते हुए, अपने परमात्मा में आस्था रखते हुए, अपनी शक्तियों और ईश्वर के द्वारा की गई बुद्धि से हम बहुत सारी चीजों को सही कर सकते हैं. और ये खाली सोचना कि ये परिस्थिति सिर्फ ईश्वर की दी हुई है, इसलिए we have to surrender, I think it is injustice to the Almighty's grace. Over.
Thank you, Sudhir bhai. Samir, go ahead, please.
हा, एक कंटिन्युइंग कन्फ्युजन आहे की अहंकार किंवा आपण घमंड म्हणतो किंवा अहम, याला आपण जे म्हणतो की याला वर होऊ देऊ नये. तर गौडपादाचार्य जे आदिशंकराचार्य जे गुरु होते, त्यांनी अद्वैत वेदांताचं हे सुरू केलं, स्कूल ऑफ थॉट सुरू केला. चालत चालत मग आदिशंकराचार्य आले, ते शिष्य झाले, मग त्यांनी चालू ठेवलं अद्वैत वेदांत. त्यांनी ते प्रचार केला, बरेच त्यांनी मंदिरे बांधली, आणि मग चालत चालत मग इतर जे शिष्य होते त्यांनी पण अद्वैत वेदांताचं हे चालू ठेवलं. त्यांची शाळा होत्या, धर्मशाळा होत्या, आश्रम होती. झालं काय की मग इतक्यात ते हे आले पोर्तुगीज लोक. त्यांनी जेव्हा ते डिस्कवर केलं वास्को दा गामा आणि गोवाचं हे, तर त्यांनी हल्ले करायला सुरुवात केली. आणि मग त्यांनी शेवटी त्या ते जे गौडपादाचार्याचे जे शिष्य होते त्याच्या मानेवरती तलवार ठेवली आणि म्हणले की तुम्ही येशू ख्रिस्ताला मान्य करा, तुमचा हिंदू धर्म आणि अद्वैत वेदांत सोडून द्या. असं केल्यास तुम्हाला जिवंत ठेवून आता तुमचे हातपाय कापून टाकू. तर ते हे शिष्य मग तिकडून पळून गेले, कारण का मान टेकायची कशी, मग ते अद्वैत वेदांत आणि हिंदू धर्म सोडावा लागेल. आणि मग ते जंगलात वावरायला लागले. मग पण मग जंगलात ते महिना, 2 महिना, 6 महिने, असे 2-3 वर्ष वावरले. असे किती दिवस वावरणार पण, कारण की ते जंगली मुळं खा किंवा काही पक्षी प्राणी मारून खा, कारण का तिथं थोडी गावात ते सगळं मिळणार. शेवटी मग ते एका राजाकडे गेले आणि त्यांना त्या राजाला ते म्हणाले की आम्हाला तुम्ही एक सोन्याच्या विट्या दान करा, जेणेकरून आम्ही दुसरीकडे लांब या पोर्तुगीज पासनं आश्रम सेटअप करू. तर मग त्यांनी पण मग हे द्वैत पत्करलंच. जे शिष्य होते ते सोन्याच्या विट्या घेऊन त्यांनी कुठं ते जंगल हे पत्करलं. म्हणजे वेळ आली की माणसाला मग ते संसारिक जीवन ते पत्करावं लागतंच.
करेक्ट, व्हेरी गुड. आपल्याला when we have to live in this world, the bottom line is we have to accept duality, live in duality, but at the same time never lose the awareness that our essential nature is non-dual. So yes, in the relative world, when we are living in this world, we will have to live like that. So there are rules of living in Dvaita, so live like that. So just as your mother protected herself from the tiger, we have to also protect ourselves from the world, right? So one time we were talking about the classic Advaita example of the snake and the rope. And when I gave that example, one participant said that, but if you really see the snake, what should you do? Should you think that it is a rope? I said, no, absolutely not. If you see the snake and if you are afraid, you should run away. Just like Shankaracharya ran away when the wild elephant was chasing him. So the world of duality will be experienced when we are awake. About that, there is no choice. When we are awake, the world will appear to us. But how seriously we take it, including our own body and our own BMI, body, mind, intellect complex. Just like Vilasada was saying, if we get enchanted by the world, if we get enchanted by our own personality, if we get enchanted by the experiences we get when our sense organs come in contact with the sense objects, then we will get stuck in the relative world. That is the bottom line. What Krishna is trying to tell us, discriminate between what is impermanent and what is permanent. What is permanent? You are permanent. What is impermanent? This world is impermanent. The experiences you get from sense objects, when they come in contact with the sense organs, those experiences are impermanent. They will come and go, come and go, come and go. And sometimes they will be pleasant, sometimes they will be unpleasant. So when they are pleasant, don't get stuck to them. And when they are unpleasant, just bear with them, because they will also go away just like the pleasant experiences came and went. Agama, apaina, anitya means they are coming and going and they are impermanent. So the bottom line of this whole verse is, whenever sense objects come in contact with the sense organs, that experience is temporary. Therefore, don't get stuck to the experience that is pleasant. Don't get infatuated by that. Don't try to chase it time after time. And unpleasant experiences, bear with them. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Namaskar.